evening. Tonight we're here in the library at Soho House for an evening of the Macallan to enjoy Flight of the Decades. And now I have the privilege of being here with Graeme, who actually works with Macallan. So what do you have here?
I have the Fine Oak 10 single malt from Macallan. We are just at the early part in the evening's proceedings, the dinner, obviously a food pairing dinner, and with some sea scallops, we paired it up with the Fine Oak 10.
So what is tonight about? You're taking everyone on a journey, a liquid journey through time?
Yeah, absolutely. We came up with the concept. It was obviously the start of a new decade, 2010. And actually, very generously, we've been able to bring over a bottle of 1950 Fine and Rare, a 50-year-old whiskey, which is just sitting on the table in front of me over there. And we thought, well, if we've got a whiskey from 1950 and we're now in 2010, how can we connect those years? So from the year 2010, we had some fresh new make spirit shipped over from the distillery. Obviously from 2000, the 10-year-old, and then we're going to work our way down and eventually arrive at 1950, which is a 50-year-old whiskey from the Fine and Rare collection. So it was just a novel concept, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. How do you enjoy working with Macallan? How long have you worked with them?
Yeah, I've worked with Macallan now for about 3 years, yeah, it's been fantastic. I moved over to New York to start the position as brand ambassador with them. My wife joined me, and we just had a son, so we're all living in New York, and it's a wonderful experience. And I think this is a further dinner we're doing, a slightly younger twist on a media dinner, very much encouraging people to get involved. Come and obviously join yourself, Judy, and talk about it on camera, to Twitter, up on the screen there, to take pictures. Yeah, just a very different experience, a slightly more modern journey through time, a liquid journey through time, in a much more lighter atmosphere.
So you mentioned Twitter. How is Twitter involved with the evening?
Well, obviously we, in about June last year, we did our first Macallan Twitter dinner. And the concept was that we had obviously traditional whiskey tasting dinners. Generally, I would stand up, present each whiskey and talk about it, and people would ask questions. Well, what we encourage people to do is, instead of asking me the questions, and also with their comments and their experiences, was just to tweet them. And we had a big screen behind the dinner table, and people just tweeted away, and it was a really fascinating event. And for a single malt whiskey company, where the category is generally quite traditional and maybe stayed in its ways a little bit, maybe stuck in the older ages, it was a fantastic event. We got a huge amount of coverage for it, and this is just the next thing in the line of evolution of our kind of marketing media experiences.
Do you have any favorite tweets that came through?
You know what, that's a good question. If you don't forget, I'm the one that has to drink the whiskey and talk about it. I actually have a colleague of mine who ghostwrites some of my tweets, so I go over and kind of tell her what I'd like to say. There was some just fantastic tweets. I mean, people's experiences of whiskey, but also just a whole range of other things. It was a very sociable occasion. Some great people got to meet different colleagues and media. It was just, I'd say it was actually pretty cool. And for a whiskey company, it's not that we actively aspire to be like that, we just were able to create something like that. So it happened of its own accord.
How do you think that technology is playing into whiskey drinkers?
It's a very interesting sort of dichotomy or difference, is that obviously nothing has really changed in making a whiskey. It's still the same old-fashioned practice techniques. Macallan is obviously, it was founded in 1824, that makes it 186 years old. We use 150-year-old oak trees. Some of our whiskies are 65 years old, 50 years old, 30, 25, etc. But then when we come to talk to whiskey drinkers, obviously technology really now does start to play a part. It allows us to share experiences, whether it's a website, a blog, Twitter, obviously YouTube, where it's likely this footage for you and I will end up. So we'll look forward to that. Flickr, obviously, for the photography. So yeah, it's going to be fascinating. And I think any company can embrace it, you know, whether it's a traditional spirits company, like a whiskey company, single malt company, or whether it's, you know, a JetBlue or any of these other brands that have been embracing it. So.
What do you think the future holds for it?
Oh, I think it's endless, limitless, endless. I think the huge possibilities are out there. A number of our guests tonight have just come back from Las Vegas, where they're at the Consumer Electronics Show. Hopefully they're going to come and talk to you about that tonight, and ask them certainly about that. I think they've seen some things that none of us could imagine will be probably on our laptops, VR laptops, everything like that in the next 1, 3, 5 years.
So getting back to Macallan, what's your favorite?
It's the question I'm most often asked in the United States. It's the Macallan 18. Just a wonderful example of a single malt whiskey, sums up everything that the distillery is able to accomplish in the making and maturation of the whiskies. But I'm a big fan also of the Fine Oak 17, kind of before dinner, the 18 after dinner. So, I'm very fortunate with Macallan. My job allows me to drink a wide range of excellent single malts. I can, continue to try as many as I can from other distilleries as well. But I think the 18 followed by the 17, 25 and 30 from time to time, just to keep it special.
So now we're taking everybody on a liquid journey through time.
Yes.
So we have a question for you.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're going to bury a time capsule that's going to be open in 50 years from now.
Yep.
You have two items that you can bring with you. One is a personal item of your own.
Okay.
And the other is one bottle of Macallan.
Okay.
What do you choose?
Oh, that's a tough question. Did you write that question?
I did.
That's a tough question. Okay, a personal item. I was thinking about this dinner the other day, and I was thinking about sort of notable things that have been built or inventions of the last 10 years. And I probably would take my iPhone. I'd take my iPhone. It may not work in 50 years' time, who knows? But at least you have on that, you've got your video, you've got your photos. Obviously, you've got you can store many things on it. It was to me probably the most sort of revolutionary, one of the most revolutionary things of the last decade. I think that's probably what I would take. And obviously, I'd have some tunes that would be very out of date on there. But it would be a nice kind of a way to obviously keep a record of this particular, 2010, and obviously in 50 years' time, maybe someone will figure out how to work it and see what we were all up to. So.
Yeah, hopefully they'll have electricity.
Yes,
then they'll be able to plug it in or figure out,
yes.
Or maybe it'll be a machine that actually opens it.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
That would be very cool. So
who knows what the future will bring?
Yeah.
But we'll still have Scotch and it'll still be made the same way in 50
Absolutely.
years from now.
I think the other question you obviously asked was which Macallan would I take?
Yes.
That's a very tough question. If I have to give one, I think it would be actually a bottle of Macallan 18 from 1980. I recently went to an auction at Bonham's and was fortunate enough to pick up a few bottles from the, I think it was the William S. Folsom auction that took place recently. And I just think something from 1980, Macallan 18, obviously my favorite whiskey, but just a little bit different, the one from 1980. I'd take that with me. And obviously the other reason I'm a big fan of Macallan 18 is obviously the 18 holes of golf in Scotland, and the Macallan 18 to me is life's greatest pairing. Okay, so the 18 is my favorite number. So yeah, that would pretty much be it.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure meeting with you.
Perfect. Thank you very much.